My last few episodes have been all business, and frankly, that's disgusting. Which means in this episode, we're going to be doing something a bit more chill. And we're starting this episode out with some farm building. So, let's crack on with a third-person time-lapse, shall we?
Mumbo We're still struggling for air.
That is massive! I've got to say that I severely underestimated the size of this thing. The size of this thing is stupid. Now of course I've got to decide if I'm going to do the smart thing and put a building around this, or if I'm going to do the me thing and not put a building around it. A few minutes later, alright, and I've decided that I am not going to change this at all. I'm not going to put anything around it, plus it's kind of close to the edges, so I might have to put the building outside, and that would not look very good. And now, of course, we face the problem that all those pistons totally ate up my cobble and wood supplies. So now I'm going to have to go and gather more wood and cobble. Do you know what that means? Tiny, 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 tiny time-lapse, 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 tiny, tiny, tiny time-lapse, tiny, 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 tiny time-lapse, tiny, 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 tiny time-lapse, tiny. Alright, so with that out of the way, we now have to go and face the other problem at hand, which is storage space. I'm going to need to make a storage system. This is definitely not going to cut it. So I can think of a couple of options, the first of which being... Alright, so this is the simple fix, which is basically an extension and a slight improvement. So we have like 3 or 4 times as many chests now, which will make it so that it doesn't fill up so quickly, and hopefully we can empty it faster than it fills up. Now the last thing I want to do that's big before we wrap up this episode is go and find an ideal place for our shopping district. And I think I'm going to start out by finding the right place in the Nether for a portal, and then find that in the overworld. Alright, I think I've found a good spot. This is about halfway to the end portal, over there. And so, it's pretty far away from my base and my friend's base, but easily accessible by Nether. And so, we're just going to see where this pops out in the overworld. Alright, so this is where the coordinates match up in the overworld. And as you can see, we're right on the edge of an ocean. We're in a spruce forest biome. This is alright. It's not the best location, but I'll take it. We can take it. And we're not going to set up a shop just now, maybe in a couple of episodes, but I've got them all linked up and stuff, so now we can go back and finish wrapping up this episode. Now the last thing I want to address in this episode is I've had this netherite ingot for a couple of episodes now, and I want to use it. So I'm thinking that this is going to be the item I'm going to upgrade. It is done! Alright. So for those of you who are still watching, I have decided that I'm going to be doing an accent video every single time. And I'm also going to be using the skin of the YouTuber I'm trying to imitate. So, with that said, this has been Mumbo, and I'm out.